evening, I'm Rahul and you're watching Viewpoint. The Supreme Court today stayed the conviction of Congress Leader Rahul Gandhi in the defamation case against him for alleged remarks against the Modi surname, something that had led to his disqualification as the Lok Sabha MP. Gandhi's plea was challenging the Gujarat High Court order that refused to stay his conviction. The Supreme Court, in fact, made some key observations today while granting Rahul Gandhi the relief. First, it noted that the trial court had not given reasons for awarding the maximum punishment of 2 years to the Congress leader. So the Gujarat High Court's July 7th observation declining to stay Gandhi's conviction that claimed quote-unquote the offence committed by the accused falls in the category of moral turpitude and that the need of the hour is to have quote-unquote purity in politics did not cut any ice with the apex court. Secondly, it believed that only because the maximum sentence was awarded, provisions of the Representation of People Act came into play and Rahul was disqualified, adding that the provision would not have been attracted had the sentence been a day lesser. With these observations, the Supreme Court maintained that the ramifications of the order are wide and affect not only the petitioner's right to continue in public life but also that of the electorate which has elected him. Now, even though an order of stay, of course, does not render the conviction non-existent, but only non-operative as explained by the court, this does mean that Rahul Gandhi's disqualification now stands reversed. The notification by the House Secretariat, though, does cease to be in effect, which means that Rahul Gandhi not only returns to the Parliament, but is also going to be participating in the no-confidence motion discussion. Now, is that a big boost to the India alliance? Or is this return of Rahul Gandhi going to unsettle a few satraps within the big union? That's the big question that we are asking today.
आज नहीं तो कल, कल नहीं तो परसों सच्चाई की जीत होती है। मेरा रास्ता तो क्लियर है, मुझे क्या करना है, मेरा क्या काम है, उसके बारे में मेरे दिमाग में बिल्कुल क्लैरिटी है।
डेमोक्रेसी की जीत हो गई, संविधान की जीत हो गई, सत्यमेव जयते।
हम अब संसद में उत्सुकता से जनता से जुड़े मुद्दों पर श्री राहुल गांधी को और श्री राहुल गांधी की बुलंद आवाज सुनने के लिए तैयार हैं। फिर से चलेगी सवालों की आंधी जब संसद में लौटेंगे राहुल गांधी।
Let me first begin by welcoming senior advocate Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, who today appeared for the complainant, Mr. Purnesh Modi, in the Supreme Court. Mr. Jethmalani, thank you so much for joining us. Now, looking at the judgments now, would you call this a huge setback, in fact, to the winning streak, with the complainant winning this so far in all the lower courts?
No, I have. You mean Purnesh Modi has, yeah. The defamation case, which has been, I had nothing to do with the lower court proceedings. I came for the first time to the Supreme Court, but yeah, I mean, it's not a big setback because the court has basically kept all issues open, and the matter has been expedited. It's before the Sessions Court, so I think it's a very good case for conviction on the question of sentence. The lawyers for the complainant will have to bring better grounds to get a 2-year sentence, but it's certainly a case for conviction and a jail sentence.
Okay, so technically this does mean an automatic reinstatement of Rahul Gandhi in the Lok Sabha as the notification by the House Secretariat ceases to be in effect after this conviction has been stayed, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no application of mine now. He was disqualified because of a conviction of 2 years. Once that is stayed, right, his disqualification ceases and he gets his MP status back. It's as simple as that. So, I don't think anybody should have any two doubts about it and, start delaying matters, etc. It doesn't look good. So, if the law entails that he should get it, he should certainly get back to Parliament now that his conviction has been stayed. Mind you, the conviction in law doesn't mean that he's not a convict, but it does mean that the consequences of his conviction are postponed to a future date when the appeal court decides whether his appeal is to be dismissed and his sentence is to be upheld.
Because why I asked you this, Mr. Jain Panali, is also because the Election Commission of India had not yet notified the by-election for the Wayanad seat that was vacated due to Rahul Gandhi's conviction. So, had it not been an auto reinstatement, he would have to contest for that seat now.
Yes, so now he is eligible to stand for the Wayanad seat.
Absolutely. Now, you said that the entire speech of Rahul Gandhi spanned more than 50 minutes. And there is a plethora of evidence and clipping of the speech attached in the Election Commission of India's record, and that Rahul Gandhi has defamed an entire class out of malice. But that didn't seem to cut much ice with the Supreme Court.
Well, because the Supreme Court has gone on only one ground. They didn't touch they didn't touch the facts which pertain to conviction. Please understand that. This was not a case where anything had to be done about conviction.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We had an overwhelming case on conviction. So the question was really on staying of the sentence. Please understand, an order of conviction and order of sentence are two distinct things.
Now, when we talk about the sentence, and that's exactly was the crucial point that the Supreme Court harped upon, and that's why the stay on conviction, it did say that it wanted to know as to why this maximum sentence over a defamation case was given to Rahul Gandhi. And had that not been the case, the Representation of People's Act wouldn't have really come into play. Had it been just a day lesser as far as the sentence is concerned. Should this not also be read as an insinuation that this was deliberately done to get him out of the parliament?
No, I don't think there's any insinuation on that. I mean, I can't say that there's any insinuation in that. What they meant was that, listen, you decided 2 years. Please give us two reasons as to why you chose the period of 2 years. Right? And if there were strong enough grounds for 2 years, he would have, the conviction would not have been stayed by the Supreme Court.
Right. Now, Rahul Gandhi's counsel, of course, Mr. Manu Singhwar, had called this entire conviction something that wasn't, in fact, the entire episode that wasn't against the society. It wasn't rape or murder or kidnapping after all. So how can this become an offence involving moral turpitude? How do you respond to that, sir?
Rahul Gandhi's counsel, well, obviously, he's Rahul Gandhi's lawyer, right? I'm saying it from my point of view as the complainant's lawyer.
Yes.
And at least on conviction, right? At the moment that Rahul Gandhi stands convicted. His conviction has been stayed, but he's still a convict. He's a convict whose conviction has been stayed pending appeal.
All right, Mr. Jain Panali, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. And with that, let me take this across to my guests who join us this evening. Guru Prakash Paswan of the Bharatiya Janata Party is with us. Ms. Sujata Paul of the Congress is with us. Also with us is Mohammad Amin, who's the former Joint Director, Election Commission of India. And last but not the least, Sumit Chandra, who's an advocate, is also with us. Sujata Paul, it's a good day for the Congress Party. What do you have to say about Rahul Gandhi's reinstatement in the Parliament? He will be back to the Parliament this Monday and is going to be part of the monsoon session.
Satyamev Jayate. Truth alone triumphs. And the judiciary, the judicial processes is what Rahul Gandhi has followed because he believes in the processes. You saw that he did not jump any step. He went step by step. He was attacked for it. Our lawyers were attacked for it. But we believe in the systems of our country because it is the Congress Party. After freedom, we ensured that we had strong processes. And Rahul Gandhi, by going through every single process without fear, with courage, has proved to the world that he believes in the
Absolutely.
Ultimately, the truth wins. And that is a win not just for Rahul Gandhi, but for the people of India also. Because when a leader of the stature of Rahul Gandhi, follows the processes. He sets an example as well. So it has been exemplary, and I'm so proud of my leader, and I'm so happy that his voice is going to resound in Parliament, because his voice is the voice of people, voice of the people of Manipur, for the people of Nu, for the people of Purola, Uttarakhand, for the daughters of India, for our wrestler daughters, and for every other issue which plagues the country today. And that is the voice that needs to speak up today for the people, so that people have faith in our country.
Mr. Paswan, let me come to you. I'm really intrigued on knowing and interested in knowing what does the BJP really have to say about the fact that Rahul Gandhi now is going to be returning to the Parliament, that conviction has been stayed by the apex court, something that has not been granted to him in the lower courts, but that stay was very much needed because his political future really depended on that. What does the BJP really now have to say about it?
A very warm good evening to you and all my fellow panelists. I was just going through the observations of the Honorable Supreme Court, and Justice Gavai has made a very categorical statement. He has said, no doubt that utterance not is in good taste. Person in public life expected to exercise caution while making public speeches. So I think it's a cautionary note to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who unfortunately has become a habitual offender. We remember sufficiently that prior to the 2019 election, Chaukidar Chor hai, he had to apologize to the Supreme Court of India. We have to understand the question of broader mindset of the Congress party here. Congress party structurally, Congress party institutionally, Congress party systematically is anti-backward, anti-Dalit, anti-tribal. Congress party is basically an extension of a feudal family-based organization. Mr. Rahul Gandhi insulting the entire OBC community, Sare Modi, XYZ. Look at the audacity of Mr. Modi, and under this patronage, under this umbrella, the other leadership of the Congress party, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. We remember what he said about the Honorable President of India. For the first time in the history of our country, we had a woman, an Adivasi woman, reaching the highest constitutional office in the country. And we still remember the way she was insulted by the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha. For that, he had to apologize. The point which we must understand, that the real mindset of the Congress party, the real DNA of the Congress party, the real structures of power in the Congress party is feudal in nature. And through this judgment, we have seen, I also saw some of the other shows that they were questioning the judgment of the civil court, they're questioning the judgment of the session court. How were they able to give this punishment? We have to understand that everyone is equal in the eyes of law. You might be the so-called member of the first family of the Congress party, but you are equal in the eyes of law. And you have no right, whosoever you are, you have no right to insult and embarrass the thousands of people from marginalized section, from backward section. This mindset must not be celebrated, must be punished.
Okay, Sujata wants to quick rebuttal from Sujata, then I will go to Mohammad Abid. Yes.
The BJP is so flustered and rattled that they don't respect the judicial process. We have gone through every judicial process, and it is our right to question a judgment in the court of law. And if we are saying the same things outside, then we are being democratic and sharing with the public what our stand is going to be. But like you said, when he quoted from the observations made, no doubt does not mean definitely. He says yes, no doubt. But you called him a habitual offender. I don't think that has been taken in good stead by the Honorable Supreme Court also.
Chaukidar Chor hai. Mr. Rahul Gandhi said Chaukidar Chor hai. Are you not embarrassed because of that?
Mr. Paswan, let him make a point. Mr. Paswan,
are you not embarrassed by that?
Supreme Court is what
he is a habitual offender,
and you are being audacious because you are anti-Dalit, you are anti-backward. When you say
arrogance, this is the extension of his feudal mindset.
Mr. Paswan, can I come here? Can I come in here?
You said Chaukidar Chor hai.
No, 1 second. Can I come in here? The Supreme Court, you were talking about the observations that have come in from the Supreme Court. Mr. Mahesh Jethmadani, who we had on the broadcast just a short while back, he has also mentioned in the court that this was a 50-minute speech that has been recorded. It is under the ECI's record and all of that can be referred to. The Supreme Court to that has said How many politicians can really remember what they say in 10 to 15 gatherings? That also was an observation that was made by the Supreme Court today. So just falling back on that argument that you're making, in that case, there are numerous examples in the Bharatiya Janata Party where they say something which is absolutely defamatory to, let's say, a family or a political party or a person or an individual. In this case, Rahul's case really extended, had to go to the apex court. The other aspect was also that he didn't apologize. There have been defamation case in the past also. Mr. Paswan.
No, yeah, I'm very happy that you pointed it out, but we have to understand that, give me one instance by any Bharatiya Janata Party leader where they have insulted the entire community. Sare Modi chor hain, who said it? Sare Chaukidar chor hain, who said it? When we absolutely
I don't
know
think
that
we can
Indian
be
society,
nitpicking on an argument, because we do know, Mr. Paswan, that the conviction is not being rendered non-existence. There is just a stay on conviction. That is an important aspect that we are looking at. The case still stays. It's pending an appeal. Let me actually first bring in Mohammad Amin. I will come back to you, Mr. Paswan. Mohammad Amin, you have been associated with the Election Commission of India. When it is about, I will come back to you, Mr. Paswan. Let me actually bring in a member of the Election Commission of India who has been associated, who knows the tricks of the trade. Mr. Mohammad Amin, I'd like to understand this one aspect. When it is about discussion and discourse, especially in an election year or during an election rally, how much of the merit is given to the discourse of a political leader? And how much do you have seen in the tenure that you have been associated with the ACI, them following it?
Actually, at the time of the election, when election is going on, at that time, before that election, we have the meeting with the model of code conduct with the all party leaders.
Yes.
And there is no such law, only we can go for FIR only, and we cannot prosecute them directly, in fact. And this is not the first case of Rahul Gandhi, this is the second case of this parliament. First case was you can remember, the Muhammad Faisal from Lakshadweep. Yes. He was convicted in the murder case, attempt to murder case from Lakshadweep, and that case was again given by the Supreme Court, and he stayed and again back to the house. So I think this is the second case of the Rahul Gandhi. So Rahul Gandhi again given the relief, but I am sure that this case has go to again with the applications, and this member parliament, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, can give the representation to the speaker to the Lok Sabha, and then the speaker of Lok Sabha, they can see and how much time is take. There is a
but I wanted to understand this one aspect, the earlier point that you were making, Mohammad Amin, that yes. How many of those repeat offenders yes. do you see every election? Despite that meeting, despite the model code of conduct, the MCAC in play, how many offenders do you really see going about still and making certain statements while there is an election year in the country? Do we not have had enough examples in various political parties and senior political leaders making speeches that can be borderline defamatory?
Actually, when we have the meeting in the ECI about the leaders and about the election and coming the elections, model code of conduct. So at that time they are going to assure it. But nowadays I'm going to tell you, and you are happy to know about that. This time Election Commission has last few years they have started the especially form to fill up before the model code of conduct, so they can take the action also on that on behalf of the form. If they are getting the declaration, I cannot do it anything wrong with the others. So there is no need now. So everything is going to black and white now.
Okay, Mr. Sumit Chandar, it's an important verdict that's come out of the Supreme Court.
Is giving the instructions.
Mr. Amin, right. I will come back to you. Mr. Chandar, it's an important verdict that's come out of the Supreme Court, something that Rahul Gandhi's hopes were lashed upon. The observations that Mr. Paswan was just about making that had come in from the court, even while granting that stay to Rahul Gandhi, what do you make of the observations?
See, Griha, the observations are very clear. I think Supreme Court has clearly stated that the trial court judge was expected to give the reasons for imposing the maximum punishment for a non-cognizable offence. There is a doctrine called the doctrine of stare decisis.
Yes.
This doctrine of stare decisis makes it very clear, and it's a very applicable maxim, legal maxim, and our profession in law, where it says that the courts are bound to provide reasons for their decisions to ensure transparency and consistency in the application of law. If the detailed decision is not given, and especially when it comes to when you're imposing the maximum punishment available, it has to be detailed as to why the maximum. Like Supreme Court again observed that even if it would have been 1 day less, the effect would have been very different.
Yes.
So those aspects need to be considered. Supreme Court has already considered, and that is why the Supreme Court has passed the decision today to grant stay. So these are the things which needs to be taken care of, and now when the matter is being heard, these will be going into details of these aspects now.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Paswan, coming back to the earlier point that you were making, although you completely, stayed away from answering my question that I asked you in the first place, now is the time for the return of Rahul Gandhi to the parliament. He would also, interestingly, be a part of the session when the no confidence motion against your government is going to be discussed. What is the plan of action for the BJP in that case?
No, you must understand that no one else but we were waiting for the arrival of Mr. Rahul Gandhi in the Parliament House. Obviously, it generates some good content for us and the users of the social media. But we have to understand that, and when you said that I did not answer your question, we have to understand the entire concept behind the Supreme Court judgment. Historically, the Congress party, if you look at the list of leaders, the leaders from the marginalized communities, how and who has given them this right to insult them? Congress insulted Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Congress insulted Babu Jagjeevan Ram, Congress insulted Sitaram Kesri, Congress insulted President Draupadi Murmu, Rahul Gandhi insulted Chaukidars, Rahul Gandhi insulted all the Modis. Who has given them this right? What is the audacity of the Congress party to say all this statement for the marginalized and the disadvantaged section of the community? So we have to understand that when we are analyzing the judgment, when we are discussing the judgment, this exposes the mindset of the Congress party, which is entirely feudal. For your question, ma'am, I have to make this very clear that we are welcoming Mr. Rahul Gandhi. But as the Congress spokesperson was saying that he is the voice of the people, he was the voice of Amethi as well. What happened in Amethi? He is no longer the voice of Amethi. He had to go to Wayanad to become the voice of Wayanad. So we have to understand that everyone is equal in the eyes of law. The Constitution of India empowers 1.4 billion people of India.
All right. Sujata wants to come in here. Sujata, while you're making that point, while you're making that point,
I think it was. I think that was my opportunity.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Complete your point, Mr. Paswan.
So the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India empowers 1.4 billion of people of India. Everyone is equal in the eyes of law. You cannot be selective in the criticism of institution. When it suits you, you criticize the judiciary. When it suits you, you question the integrity of Election Commission of India. When it suits you, you question the integrity of the organizations like Enforcement Directorate and CBI. This is no longer going to work. The Congress party must reconcile with the new reality. This is the new India where the power is actually to the people who are marginalized, disadvantaged, who did not see power in your 75 years of government.
Mr. Paswan, while you make all of those points, and all of those points are justified, but you are missing that one crucial aspect, that there is a stay on Rahul Gandhi's conviction, and the question that was presented in the apex court, the foremost court of the country, is that why grant him the maximum sentence under the defamation case that can be granted. And that's why the Representation of People's Act has come in. And that's why the disqualification has happened of Rahul Gandhi, which has been unprecedented, and hence that stay. That point has been clearly done away with, unfortunately, by the BJP and you, who's a spokesperson today. And the other aspect that needs to be looked at here is, because the case was being pursued in Gujarat, there were enough implications that were being made, and there were enough conjectures that were being made that this was deliberately done so that it was actually moving in so that the conviction of 2 years be granted, and hence the disqualification is attracted.
Ma'am, if you give me 10 seconds, sure. And I think you are a senior journalist, you understand that there is separation of power in the Constitution of India. There is judiciary, there is legislature, and there is executive. The judiciary is free and independent. And by your question, are you suggesting that the judiciary was getting affected in Gujarat? Absolutely not. And I think we must not raise question mark on the integrity and the credibility of institution. This is the textbook example of Congress party. Only when it suits the Congress party, when the judgment is in their favor, the Supreme Court is right. When the judgment goes against them, the Supreme Court is wrong. That is, this practice is absolutely abominable, and this should not be tolerated at any cost. You lose an election, you raise question mark on the integrity of Election Commission of India. Who has given you this right? The Congress party might have the first family, but the country doesn't have any first family. The country doesn't have any first citizen. You must understand that everyone is equal in the eyes of law, and please don't raise question marks. Please don't raise question mark on the integrity of the institutions of the country.
Nobody is raising question marks on the court in this case, if that is what you are insinuating, Mr. Paswan. Because what I am asking you was a question that was asked by the Supreme Court today. Something that has been reiterated by Mr. Chandar, who is also on the panel. The Supreme Court did make it a point to ask that why was the trial court not coming up with any sort of a reason for granting that maximum sentence, and that cannot be kept away from the viewer's discretion also to understand that aspect. That's an important aspect, and that's why that stay. Sujata Paul wants to come in. I'll come back to you, Mr. Paswan.
And I expect my co-panelists to keep, to allow me to speak. Now, he has been using the word habitual offender, which is not something that has been accepted by the Honorable Supreme Court even today in its observations. So, 13 cases and no conviction. How is he a habitual offender? 2 years is the maximum sentence, like we've all been discussing. And after, even if there is a conviction, should there not be a separate hearing for sentencing? There was none, and that has been questioned by the Honorable Supreme Court. But the BJP spokesperson is not going to answer that. If the sentencing had been for 1 year, 11 months, 29 days, the provisions of the Representation of People's Act wouldn't have come into force, and this disqualification could never have happened. Now, the Honorable Judge of the lower court called this moral turpitude on the basis of what? On the basis of it being a non-cognizable offence, on the fact that simple imprisonment punishment can happen in the case of 22 such offences, and this is one such offence, and the maximum punishment is granted to Rahul Gandhi only to ensure that he is disqualified. In these cases, you have to make sure that a warrant is issued because it is the punishment itself is simple imprisonment. But you wanted to keep him out because he was asking very pertinent questions. But aren't they anti-Dalit and anti-backward when they say that Nirav Modi and all the other people who have been named by Rahul Gandhi, they come from backward classes? No, Lalit Modi comes from a very affluent class and an upper class, even according to the caste system. So that means Nirav Modi. Now, when you talk about all these people looted the country and you are equating them with Dalits. What kind of logic is that? Now, how is it that all the 13 cases were filed by BJP workers? And in the case of Purnesh Modi, where he went to the High Court and got a stay in his own matter, saying that I need to collect some more information. Where is that information? Which information did he get? The information he got was a person by the name of Mr. Ganesh Vijay, who came and said that, okay, after 1 year, 9 months, that I was standing there and I heard that speech. So these are the kind of things that you've done. And of course, Wayanad is suffering because of you. And in a democracy, the argument is so futile and so frivolous when Mr. Paswan says that what happened to the voice of Wayanad, voice of Amethi. Well, let me tell you, he is the voice of this country, and in a democracy, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. If people of the stature of Atal Bihari Vajpayee have lost elections, you will question how he has lost an election. That is the most frivolous argument that can be given by the
My view is the democracy aspect of it that Sujata has mentioned in that part that she's talking about. Let's talk about the seat of democracy. Rahul Gandhi returns to the parliament. There is an impending discussion on the no confidence motion. Mr. Paswan and Sujata Paul, what are you expecting that happens now with his presence and also the Manipur question that's still, out in the open? Do you think there is going to be ample deliberation and managing that the Prime Minister gets to the floor of the House and does speak about the issue?
Last time round, when he was asking questions of Adani, we know this disqualification process was set into motion and they were successful. But now, They know that they cannot do that, because Rahul Gandhi ji was the only leader who actually went to Manipur in the midst of all this and spoke to the people and brought Manipur into the limelight. Because the people of Manipur want the mainland to talk about them, to hear them, to lend a healing hand. The first healing hand was lent by Rahul Gandhi, and I'm sure Parliament is the country's Parliament. No matter how much the BJP wants to run away, I think
so all
that
the more reasons that there is going to be discussions in the House, and it is not going to be a washout session like it has been for the last 10 days.
No, not at all. It shouldn't be, because once Rahul Gandhi comes in there, I think after the Supreme Court's order, if the BJP really respects the Honorable Supreme Court, they will ensure that discussions happen, the no confidence motion discussion happens properly, and Rahul Gandhi's voice is going to echo the sentiments of the people of
Mr.
not
Paswan,
just Manipur,
on
but
the no confidence
country.
motion, we do understand that the numbers are well stacked in favor of the BJP, the NDA alliance. And yet, there is an addition of Rahul Gandhi who's also going to be a part of that discussion. And repeating that question, is the BJP all braced up for those, questions that will now be coming in this point that Sujata was making, considering he's one of the tall leaders who has been to Manipur and he is going to be presenting all of those aspects in the House?
No, we have to understand a couple of things first. So, I was patiently listening to my panelists from the Congress party, and thank you for actually giving her an opportunity to saying that the mainland must speak about Manipur. Manipur is mainland, ma'am. Manipur and each and every state of Northeast is mainland.
You're not making it the mainland.
Right? I think it's my
dividing Manipur.
I think it's my turn.
Please,
better give her a chance.
Sujata, please let him make
it's my turn.
Yeah, please. Mr. Paswan, go ahead. Quickly, 10 seconds. I don't have time.
नहीं देखिए प्लीज बौखलाइए मत अपनी बौखलाहट अपने पास रखिए.
Please make your point.
When you were speaking, no one else was speaking.
Mr.
Manipur is mainland. Manipur is mainland. Northeast is mainland. Every single state of the Northeast is mainland. And please get over this colonial mindset, madam. Please get over your. We remember in UPA, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh used to come to Rajya Sabha from Assam. How many times did he visit Northeast? In 2011, 123 days Manipur was burning. No one was there to ask questions.
Is there going to be a discussion on Manipur or not? Or again, it's going to be a day on 176 and 267? Mr. Paswan.
Neha, you have given her sufficient time.
Neha,
you have given her sufficient time. You are constantly objecting when. No, listen to me. You
Mr. Paswan, I only have 10 seconds. Please make your point.
I request you to give. Madam, I say, because you will constantly heckling, and when I was speaking, you constantly interrupting. So you have now less time left.
Go ahead.
We have to expose that the true character of the Congress party. The true character of the Congress party we have seen for 9 years. Mr. Manmohan Singh, how many times did he go to Northeast?
No,
and who has given you the right to say, to draw a distinction?
He was on a 3-day state visit to Manipur and Assam in 2011 when the economic blockade.
There is no point. The moment the Manipur question comes into the discourse, if this is what is happening to the panel, we only wonder, even with the addition of Rahul Gandhi back in the parliament, whether this conundrum really goes away, has been done away with or not. That is a big question that we'd have to actually end up seeing whether on Monday, is there a discussion at all on the Manipur issue, or for that matter, the no confidence motion with the India alliance that has set it in motion. We'll have to actually see that, because right now there is no consensus even on this panel. We'll have to leave it at that. There is time for a break at the moment, but on the other side, we are discussing the aftermath of the violence in Noon in Haryana. The government has unleashed bulldozers on the accused. Can it stand the legal test is the question that we are asking. Stay tuned.